Welcome back to Nick Lenz Comic Corner, Classic and Non-Classics. This episode number 1269 and Doubleshot number 1163. I have one Marvel trade, one DC trade. First up it is Weapon H, Volume 1, AWOL. This collects the first 6 issues of this very brief ongoing series. How brief was? I think it was like 12. I think it was like 13 issues this one was. Yes, this is what the series that had the really big problem. And I think a lot of people have this really big problem with this series was that almost every single issue of this whole series, except for one, had this thing where apparently Marvel DC apparently had this thing where we have two very similar characters releasing their issues in the same week. Yes, and there's one issue in here where, believe it or not, it felt like basically for some people when they've read, like, hey, I just read this issue over DC. Yes. What was it, mind you? It was, well, Weapon H, that series what the character's called, where this happened. Yes. Fighting frickin' Man-Thimg. Which, by the way, over at DC, Damage in the same week was fighting Swamp Thing. They had an issue where he met up with Captain America, which also felt like a very similar thing when Damage met up with frickin' Superman. Yep. You're probably curious still, like, what the heck is Weapon H? Well, he's a guy by the name of Clay, who has got the DNA running through him of the Hulk and Wolverine. This character first appeared in the crossover known as Weapons of Mutant Destruction. That's where the character first showed up, and the arc that came right after the Weapon X simply put serves backdoor pilot to the short-lived series. If you're curious though where the character is now, once the series is over, he's dead. Yeah, he got killed off during an Absolute Carnage. Yeah, apparently Absolute Carnage has had this thing where, oh yeah, let's kill off some small-scale characters. Because Danny Cole was not allowed to kill off any major characters, despite the fact he killed off Carnage in that series. So AWOL is input basically, it's kind of like a Hulk series in a way. He just wonders about an issue 2, he fights a frickin' Wendigo. Yes, a frickin' Wendigo. Also comes across Dagon Agaron, aka the Minotaur from Thor. Yep, pops up in here as well. Though this is before he met up with the Immortal Hulk, by the way. Yep. And I think this came out before the events of War of the Realms. Yeah, I believe it was. Yep, before War of the Realms. Yep. So yeah, his name is Clay. So this guy was basically a product of the revived Weapon X program. How they got the Hulk DNA? They got it from Amadeus Cho, and as for the claws, well, they had their hands on adamantium because, well, that's what Wolverine's claws made of. So why not? The story for these issues are that Clay just wandered around the country. Also, his family's worried about him. Like, sounds a lot like Damage. Despite the fact these are two completely different characters, I'm sure a lot of people basically got these two books confused when these books were coming out. Weapon H is a Marvel character, while Damage is a DC character. You know, the thing is, Damage, I don't think, even though this series ended, I don't think he pops up anymore. Well, like Weapon H, he's basically no longer even freaking alive. I think I killed off in one of the one-shots of Episode Carnage. I haven't read all the Episode Carnage, but I know he died. Which is kind of interesting, the fact they killed him off. So, eventually in the book, he is captured at one point by the Minotaur, though he does transform into the Minotaur, because he basically went up on Raxxon soil. Eventually he's freed, reunites with his family, and meets up with Captain America, and of course, yes, he does fight Man-Thimg. But as for the start for this series, it's good. The series is written by Greg Pak, which shows the fact that he had faith in this character because, after all, he did create this character, so why the heck not? The artwork in this book is done by about 3 different artists in here. The first 5 issues are done by Corey Smith. The backup story issue 1, that's actually done by Marcus 2. The replacement artist of the corresponding of issue 5 is R. Ernito. The cover art is mainly done the first 5 issues by Lenz Francis Yu and Ramon Fagio Jr., who also does issue 6. Philip Tan does issue 6. But as for the start for this series, it's good. Really good. And of course, Clay doesn't like the fact he is like this, but yeah. Also, at one point, he fights the Brood. But I'm thinking, when in the world did the Brood get to Earth? Apparently, they possess some Wendigo, so they just turn to the Wendigo. For reasons. Oh, one fun fact about the Brood. They're actually based upon the Xenomorphs from Alien. Yeah, Chris Claremont based them on the Xenomorphs. Just like how John Byrne based Metal's robot form on the Terminator, which, that's a fun little factoid. Yep, but fun book. Give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. It's a good book. I get why the series ended. Series ended, I think it was like 13 issues. Presumably because, even though the series probably had a good push for a while, but I don't think many people were interested in this book very much because of the so much similarity to Damage from DC. That's what ultimately killed the book, the confusion. Alright, moving on to the book that's still technically published, but it's currently on hiatus right now. This is Justice League Volume 6, Vengeance is Thine! This basically collects Justice League Volume 4, issues 40 to 47, and the second annual. There's about 3 different stories in here. The first story doesn't focus on who's in the cover. Yeah, that's a Spectre. The first few issues in here are focused on the Eradicator. Yep. Oh yeah, in case you're curious, Scott Snyder is no longer the writer of this book. It is now, well, for this particular set of issues, it's Rob Venditti. Yep. Rob Venditti is the writer. Yep, and this is during a period of time, like when it came out last year, where, like, as soon as the writer found out what he wanted to do for the book, sent out a different writer. The last writer of this book, just prior to going hiatus, was Josh Williamson. I don't remember what issue he took over, but yeah. This is basically just after Scott Snyder left, so books will continue despite the fact that when you read this issue 30, like, oh, the story continues in Dark Knight Death Metal issue 1. Well, this book continued, no problem. This is probably either before Dark Knight's Metal or probably afterwards. So, basically, first you have the Justice League, basically at this point comprising of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, John Stewart, Green Lantern, and the Man Flash. Now, there are more members of this group, but apparently they're not in this storyline. Yeah, Martian Manhunter is nowhere to be seen. Hawkgirl, I think they've gone off doing their own thing. They're not in this book for some reason. Also, where the heck are the reserve members? And where is Jarro? Yeah, Jarro was gone. So anything you like about the Scott Snyder run is gone. Oh yeah, by the way, Aquaman is alive, but he pops up for like one issue in these issues. But that's it. Now, the first few issues focus on the Eradicator. And Venditti has it where, oh yeah, let's turn the Eradicator into a villain. And he apparently is on his own now. Despite the fact last time we've seen prior to this, which was in the pages of Howl Joker Lenticle, which he wrote, by the way. He wrote that, and this is first appearance since that story, since he wrapped up his run for Howl Joker Lenticle. So I have it where he's a bad guy now. Yes, the Eradicator is a bad guy, and forming his own group. One of whom basically looks like wears a costume similar to that for, I think it was one of the Supermen from the old eras. Well, yeah, he's got his own Eradicators. He wants to build the Krypton race for reasons. So, he's defeated by Wonder Woman. Yes, he apparently is killed by Wonder Woman. Though his body is destroyed, his head is still alive. They actually follow up with this story in the annual where, oh, the Watchtower, not the Watchtower, the Hall of Justice is going nuts. And apparently it's not flying, just like it did in Scott Snyder's run. Though it turns out, though, what they thought was actually General Zod basically showing up was actually just Eradicator's head. So, what do they do with the head after this story? At the end of this issue? Well, Batman decided to do something that, well, let's copy a thing that he did in Raiders Last Ark. Let's just file away Eradicator's head in a box, put it in a warehouse, and that's last see of that. Though the first arc in here is only just a few issues. It lasts from 40 to 44, I believe it actually was 43. Yeah, because 44 to 47, well, basically, aside from the guest star appearance by Aquaman, it's mostly focused on the Spectre. Yes, the Spectre, who apparently has been corrupted, and Jim Corrigan is no longer around. And he also has it where the Justice League are fighting each other, then they get freed. Jim Corrigan gets restored to the thing. Also, they involve Madam Zen in the storyline for some reason. Yes. And, well, she basically, it's implied she was offered a position with the Justice League along with Jim Corrigan, despite the fact he's no member of the JSA. In case you're wondering, has Spectre ever joined a Justice League group? No, he never does. Though I do appreciate the artist put back in the classic look. I appreciate back in this look. Yeah, I love the fact that the artist who drew this, I think it was Doug Mahnke who did this, that they put it back in the classic look he's had for decades with the shorts. This is something he's had for a long time. Though prior to this, he wore pants. No idea why. Now, despite that Robert Diddy is the writer of this book, he's a sole writer, not various writers. There's various different artists on here. You have Doug Mahnke. I met this guy personally. He's a gospel on me. Aaron Lipsey, another guy I've met. It's okay, I've not met this guy. Eddie Burrows, I have met him. Robinson Ruka, Richard Feem, Matt Ryan, Albert Ferrer, and Daniel Abakurst. The cover art is of my Francis Manifold. Yeah, Francis Manifold cover art. Though I love the tagline in the back, Judgment is coming. So, of the 3 stories in here, the Eradicator storyline is interesting for what it is. Though, I think a lot of people who are Superman fans don't like the fact that Eradicator got killed. I think the Spectre storyline is really good. I think Robert Diddy does a good job writing this character. And I also love the fact that Batman says, oh yeah, I met this guy multiple times before. Confirming the fact that, yes, I like that. Because, well, Spectre has appeared multiple times in the Bat book, so why the heck not? I think the last time he actually appeared was actually in an issue of the 5th comic by Period of the Mouse Seed. Awesome. The ending itself is it's cool. I like the fact I get a chance to see the Hall of Justice fly again because I thought that was an awesome thing they did in Scott Snyder's last Dark Room. Oh yeah, the Justice League headquarters can fly like an actual spaceship, which I thought was so cool. And Batman goes, oh yeah, despite the fact Eradicator active the self-destruction because it gives it plenty of time to get to the atmosphere before it blows up. Then they do take control of it again, and it's basically Wonder Woman and Superman put it back down where it is. Everyone's back normal, and then the whole file away Eradicator's head in someplace else. Yep. Kind of interesting book for what it is, but it's a big step down from Scott Snyder's run. I think Van Diddy actually finished up his run here. I give this book roughly a 9.5 out of 10. Yeah, it's a good book. Surprisingly. Though there is a couple more writers coming after this. Let me look into here. I don't think this book lasts much longer. No, before I went on hiatus. Let's see. What was the last issue that came out for this thing? Let's see. This will basically tell me. Okay. This book went to 47. Let's see. The last issue that came out for this was 58. Yep, 58. I know that 47, I believe, was his last issue. Let's see. I'm trying to find it here. Let's see. Don't do that. Thank you. Yeah, they replaced it with Simon Spurrier with issue 48. So it managed to last for a good, like, I think about 10 more issues. Yeah, it managed to last for 10 more issues before it went hiatus. Because of Future Sight. Yep. So I think it's like sized very briefly in the book. Let's see. Yeah, he sized Spurrier's book for about 3 issues. And then it's like Jeff Loveless. Yeah, he's in the book very briefly. He's in the book for about 3 issues. Yes, 3 issues. Yeah, he comes on with issue 50. Actually, he's on an issue for 2 issues. And I think Josh Williamson does pretty much the rest of this book. Just prior to going hiatus. The annual's Venditti. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's just Williamson who does pretty much the remainder of these issues. Yep. Yeah, so... Okay, so he doesn't do 57. Basically, 58 is done by Anna and Ron March. So, it's interesting, though, the fact that this book managed to last for 10 more issues before what happens with the Endless Winter stuff. Yeah, that's interesting, though. The Endless Winter is like the most recent issue released when it comes to this book. So, would there be a Volume 7? Yes. Would it contain 10 issues? Probably not, because 58 is actually part of the Endless Winter crossover. So I wouldn't be surprised if DC put it all in one trade. I hope they do. Don't put them multiple trades again. So, if this is a Volume 7, it'd probably go from 48 to about 57. Yeah. About 10 issues right there. Actually, it's more like 11 issues last year. So basically, like 11 more issues before it goes on hiatus. But, yeah. Justice League is good. Just not as good as Scott Snyder's. That was awesome. I loved it. This book felt like a bit of a step down in a way. Though I kind of felt as though I was reading this, that indicates the first story arc, when I'm reading it, it kind of felt like something out of the 90s. Yes, with the style of storytelling. The Spectre stuff felt like something recent, like in the last few years. The Aquaman stuff was interesting, and the annual just felt like something out of Kid Crystal Skull. Like Crystal Skull, Ray's Last Arc. Yep. That's felt like me, but it's a fun book. Just not as fun as Scott Snyder's one. Okay, so that's it for you. I got roughly 2, maybe 3 more videos to do today. Next one, of course, be ReZero, and then 7 Deadly Sins. And if I get time, I'll get back to superheroes, okay? Peace next video. Bye.